An urgent message from the cosmic architect. This found you, and it changes everything. There is a reason your attention stopped here, even if you cannot explain it yet. Out of everything you could have been doing, out of every direction your mind could have wandered, something quietly guided you to this moment. Not with force, not with urgency, just a gentle pull that felt impossible to ignore. And before you dismiss that feeling as coincidence, take a moment and listen. This message is not asking you to believe anything immediately. It is simply inviting you to notice something you may have overlooked for a very long time. Deep down, a part of you has sensed that life has been trying to show you something important, a pattern, a truth, a realization waiting patiently beneath the noise of everyday life. Stay with this, because what you are about to hear may connect pieces of your story that never seemed to fit together before. For a while now, you may have felt as though you are standing between two versions of yourself. One version is familiar, shaped by old expectations, old fears, old routines. The other feels distant, but strangely recognizable, like a forgotten melody you somehow still remember. You have felt moments when something inside you wanted to grow beyond what was comfortable, yet you could not fully explain why. Perhaps you questioned yourself. Perhaps you wondered whether the changes happening within you were real or simply your imagination. But inner transformation rarely arrives with loud announcements. More often, it begins as a quiet shift in perspective. A different thought, a new feeling, a subtle awareness that the person you were yesterday is no longer the person you are becoming today. What makes this moment remarkable is not that everything around you has changed. It is that something within you has. Think about the experiences that seemed confusing when they happened. Think about the delays that frustrated you, the conversations that stayed in your memory, the moments of silence that felt heavier than words. At the time, they may have appeared disconnected, random, meaningless. Yet now, as you look back, you may notice an invisible thread weaving through all of them. Growth often hides itself while it is happening. It does not always feel inspiring. Sometimes it feels like uncertainty. Sometimes it feels like waiting. But what if those periods of waiting were never empty? What if they were preparing you to see something you could not have understood before? The message from the cosmic architect begins here. You are not behind. You are not late. And you are not missing some secret that everyone else somehow discovered. The path unfolding beneath your feet is uniquely yours, and many of the things that once felt like obstacles were quietly shaping your ability to recognize what truly matters. There is something important here, something that will become clearer as we continue. The feeling that brought you to this message was not asking you to find all the answers today. It was asking you to remain open, because the next realization changes the way you see everything that came before. And once you see it, you may never look at your journey the same way again. Sometimes the most important turning points in life arrive so quietly that you do not recognize them until much later. They do not always appear as dramatic events or life-changing announcements. Often, they begin as a feeling that something inside you is rearranging itself. You start noticing things you once ignored. Certain conversations linger in your mind longer than usual. Certain moments seem to carry more meaning than they should. And without fully understanding why, you begin paying closer attention to your own thoughts. The cosmic architect's message continues with a simple truth. Awareness always comes before transformation. Before any meaningful change becomes visible in your outer world, it first takes shape within the hidden landscape of your mind and heart. You may have spent a long time searching for certainty, hoping that one day everything would make perfect sense. Yet life rarely unfolds in such a neat and predictable way. Instead, clarity often arrives in layers. A small realization today, a deeper understanding tomorrow. Then suddenly, what once felt confusing begins forming a complete picture. Think about how many times you doubted your own progress simply because you could not see immediate results. Think about how often you measured yourself against expectations that were never truly yours. The unseen connection guiding this message is reminding you that growth cannot always be measured by visible achievements. Sometimes growth is the ability to remain kind after disappointment. Sometimes it is choosing hope after uncertainty. Sometimes it is learning to trust yourself when no one else can see what you are becoming. There is another reason this message found you now. Somewhere along your journey, you learned how to carry things silently. You learned how to continue moving forward even when answers were unavailable. You learned how to sit with questions that had no immediate resolution. Those experiences may not have felt valuable at the time, but they strengthened something within you that cannot be easily shaken. The version of you that exists today is not the same person who first began this journey. Even if the changes are difficult to describe, they are real. The patience you developed, the wisdom you gathered, and the resilience you built are all part of a larger story that is still unfolding. Don't miss what comes next, because the next piece reveals why those quiet seasons mattered far more than you realized. What the Cosmic Architect wants you to understand is that your life is not a collection of unrelated events. There is a deeper rhythm beneath it all. The moments that inspired you, the challenges that tested you, the unexpected pauses that redirected you, each played a role in preparing you for a greater level of self-understanding. You are beginning to see your experiences differently, not as isolated chapters, but as connected pieces of a meaningful design. And as this awareness grows, something remarkable happens. You stop asking why everything happened exactly as it did, and you begin asking what it helped you become. That shift changes everything. Because once you start viewing your journey through that lens, a hidden truth begins to emerge. And that truth will be the focus of the next part. Have you ever noticed how certain realizations seem to arrive at exactly the moment you are finally ready to receive them? Not earlier when you would have dismissed them, not later when the opportunity to understand them might have passed. Right now, you may be standing at one of those rare moments. The Cosmic Architect's message is becoming clearer, and it centers on something many people spend years searching for without ever fully recognizing. It is the understanding that your life has never been asking you to become someone else. It has been quietly guiding you back toward who you have always been, beneath expectations, doubts, and distractions. Stay with this because this realization touches parts of your story that may have remained hidden even from you. For much of life, people are taught to look outward for confirmation. They search for signs that they are doing enough, achieving enough, becoming enough. Yet there comes a point when that search begins to feel incomplete. No matter how much approval arrives from outside, something deeper continues asking for attention. Perhaps you have felt that recently. A sense that external success alone cannot answer the questions rising within you. A desire for something more authentic, more aligned, more meaningful. This feeling is not a problem to solve. It is an invitation. The unseen connection guiding this message wants you to understand that fulfillment often begins when you stop chasing every expectation placed before you and start listening to the quiet wisdom already present within yourself. Think back to the moments when you felt most alive, most connected, most genuinely yourself. Those moments may have seemed small at the time. They may not have impressed anyone else. Yet they carried a sense of truth that could not be manufactured. The reason those memories continue to stay with you is because they point toward something essential. They remind you that your deepest direction has never come from pressure. It has always emerged from alignment. Every time you ignored that inner voice, life felt heavier. Every time you honored it, even in small ways, life felt more meaningful. There's something important here. The cosmic architect is not asking you to become a different person. The invitation is far simpler and far more powerful. Remember the parts of yourself you may have forgotten while trying to meet the expectations of the world around you. As this message unfolds, another layer begins to reveal itself. The confusion you experienced was not always a sign that you were lost. Sometimes it was evidence that an old version of your understanding could no longer contain who you were becoming. Growth often feels uncomfortable because it asks you to release familiar stories about yourself, stories that once protected you but no longer define you. And now, whether you fully realize it or not, you are approaching a threshold. Not a dramatic ending, but a quiet awakening, a deeper recognition of your own path, your own value, and your own connection to the larger design unfolding around you. What comes next is perhaps the most personal part of this entire message, because it reveals why this journey found you specifically, and why this moment matters more than you currently understand. Long before you arrived at this moment, something within you was already preparing for it. Not through grand plans or perfect certainty, but through countless small experiences that quietly shaped your perspective. Every question you carried, every moment you spent wondering whether you were on the right path, every season when life seemed to move more slowly than you expected, was contributing to something deeper than immediate answers. The cosmic architect's message now becomes intensely personal, because it is no longer about understanding life in general. It is about understanding your relationship with your own journey. And perhaps the most surprising truth is that many of the qualities you have been searching for are already present within you. There are times when people overlook their own growth because they are too close to it. They remember their mistakes more clearly than their progress. They focus on the distance still ahead instead of the ground they have already covered. You may have done the same without realizing it. Yet if you paused long enough to look honestly at who you were a year ago, or even a few months ago, you would likely see subtle but meaningful changes. Your perspective has evolved. Your understanding has deepened. Certain things that once unsettled you no longer carry the same weight. Certain truths that once seemed distant now feel closer than ever. Growth does not always announce itself. Often, it reveals itself through the quiet confidence that develops when experience becomes wisdom. The message that found you today is also about trust. Not blind trust, and not certainty about every detail of the future. It is the trust that comes from recognizing your own ability to navigate whatever life places before you. There was a time when uncertainty may have felt like an enemy. Now you are beginning to understand that uncertainty often creates space for discovery. Some of the most meaningful chapters of your life emerged from situations you never planned. Some of the most important lessons arrived through experiences you would never have chosen in advance. Don't miss what comes next, because this shift in perspective opens the door to something even more significant. The realization that you have been developing strengths you rarely give yourself credit for. The cosmic architect wants you to see yourself more clearly, not through the lens of fear, comparison, or old limitations, but through the lens of possibility and truth. The qualities you admire in others often exist within you in ways you have not fully recognized. The resilience that carried you through difficult seasons, the compassion that remained even after disappointment, the curiosity that continued asking questions when easy answers were unavailable. These are not small things. They are evidence of who you are becoming. And as you begin to acknowledge them, another realization starts to emerge. The message was never only about where you are going. It is also about understanding the value of who you already are. In the next part, that understanding deepens, revealing a connection between your past, your present, and the future you are quietly creating with every choice you make. There comes a moment in every meaningful journey when the search itself begins to change. At first, you search for answers because you believe something is missing. You look for direction, reassurance, or a sign that you are moving the right way. But eventually, something unexpected happens. The questions that once felt urgent start transforming into understanding. You stop looking for proof that your path matters and begin recognizing that every experience has already been teaching you something valuable. The Cosmic Architect's message reaches a deeper layer here because it is not asking you to find a new destination. It is inviting you to see the hidden meaning that has been woven through your journey from the very beginning. Think about the version of yourself that existed before certain lessons entered your life. That person had dreams, hopes, and expectations, yet could not see everything that lay ahead. Along the way, you encountered moments that stretched your perspective beyond what you thought possible. Some experiences taught you patience, others taught you courage. Some revealed strengths you never knew you possessed. And perhaps most importantly, some taught you how to remain open, even when certainty was unavailable. Those lessons were not interruptions to your path. They were your path. Every chapter contributed something essential to the person sitting here now, listening to these words, and feeling that quiet sense of recognition growing within. What makes this realization powerful is that it changes how you view the future. Instead of seeing it as a distant place where everything finally becomes perfect, you begin seeing it as a continuation of the growth already taking place. The future is not separate from who you are today. It is being shaped by your awareness, your choices, and the understanding you are developing right now. There's something important here. The more you appreciate your own journey, the less you feel pressured to compare it to anyone else's. You begin trusting that your experiences carry their own purpose and timing. You begin understanding that progress is not measured by speed, but by depth, and that some of the most meaningful transformations happen quietly, beneath the surface, long before they become visible. The Cosmic Architect offers one more insight before the final part arrives. You were never meant to have every answer at once. Life unfolds through discovery, not through complete certainty. The beauty of your path lies in its ability to reveal itself step by step, teaching you something new each time you become ready to understand it. And perhaps that is why this message found you now. Not because you needed fixing, not because you were lost, but because you were ready to recognize how much wisdom, growth, and quiet strength already exist within you. The final part brings everything together, revealing the deeper reason this message crossed your path, and leaving you with a perspective that may stay with you long after these words have ended.